Hello and welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. I am Lord Forwind here trying to show you guys how to do a brief guide on how to form the Austro-Hungarian Empire and reach the achievement of restoring the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So first off, you need to pick the Kingdom of Hungary. Technically, I guess you could do it with some of the others, but the achievement, I believe, specifies you play as Hungary. So Hungary starts off under Miklos Horthy and has absolutely no ability to build a military, which in terms of starts is really annoying. Yeah, it is quite possible to do a good job with it, but it is rather difficult. The actual achievement you're going for is Miklos Horthy and the Habsburg Prince. So here's your basic start. You have virtually no manpower because you're not only a disarmed nation, but you have the really annoying Treaty of Trianon, which absolutely obliterates your recruitable population down to a very pathetic 0.5. You do have 8 million population, so you do have a good amount of people in your country. You just can't do anything with it. You also have a very tiny nation, much smaller than what Hungary was known to control even before it became part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which puts you at a disadvantage. Luckily, you do start out with a fairly good amount of troops, plus they are all nice regulars, which helps quite a bit. And you want to grab them immediately, assign them under a general. It's really up to you. I tend to take Ivan Hindley here just because he's fairly good stats, and he's also a trickster, which tends to help early on when you've got no other stats going for you. So you want to put all your troops on the Austrian border. Give your guys all the traits and stuff that you can afford. If you want, you can put it under a field marshal. I've never seen an immense need, but the field marshal can give you an offensive doctrine, which is quite nice once you have enough command power for that. Next off, you're going to want to take your civilian factories, build as many military factories as you can, you know, the standard stuff. There's no great point in building civilian factories. You have such little land to develop. The military factories, at least in the short one, will give you the biggest benefit. You want to go to your military factory and assign everything you can to infantry equipment. I've tended to find that the support equipment really doesn't help you early on. It helps once you get better, you know, armies and can update your infantry templates and stuff, but you really don't have that at the beginning of the game. You do start with some planes, which is quite nice when you actually go to war. You start out with one of the stronger air forces in the area, if I remember correctly. Yeah, you actually start off with the largest air force in the Balkan states, which is kind of cool, except for maybe Yugoslavia. But again, not air force early on doesn't make tons of difference for you. Next, of course, you want to do your standard resources. I tend to do support weapons for Hungary early on just because there is a chance of you getting into a very early war, which you'll want to be as strong as possible for. Next, you'll want to focus on the standard engineering stuff, reduce research, increase production efficiency cap. You'll also want to set your battle plan for this region into attacking Austria. This sometimes you don't have to attack Austria, other times you do. But in order to form Austria-Hungary, you do need to conquer or at least control all of Austria. It can happen peacefully or it can happen violently. If you pick historical focuses, it tends to seem to go peacefully, but that's just for me. Next, for your national focus, you'll want to take immediately balanced budget, because that's the only way you'll ever get to having the Habsburgs in charge, just pointing that out. Other than that, you go fascist or communist, and oddly enough, you will be going non-aligned, which is rather interesting. Even though it's technically the Kingdom of Hungary, you actually don't have a monarch on the throne right now. Horthy is kind of ruling as a regent. So you'll take balanced budget. Once you do balanced budget, you'll do strengthen the monarchists, and then you might have to wait a little while, depending on how things go, until the non-aligned legitimists have enough support. But once you do get a chance, you can definitely elect a king, and that will increase your stability, which is kind of nice, seeing as the new system benefits from as high stability as possible. And then you will want to immediately, once you get the chance, invite the Habsburg prince, which will give you Otto von Habsburg, who is plus 20 political power gain, which is really awesome. Plus, you can create a faction. There's no one who will really want to join your faction, so I really wouldn't worry about it. Once you've done that, you have the option to demand a referendum from Austria, or you could take Austria by force, but luckily you can demand Austria by force if you fail in the referendum. So demand the referendum. Now, before you take the referendum focus, you should either improve relations with Austria or, and this is something that's worked for me a couple times, both for Austria and Czechoslovakia, is go down the industrial tree. Specifically, this reintegrate the railroads gives you plus 35 opinion with both Austria and Czechoslovakia, which if you take that and you also do some improving of relations, tends to be enough to get Austria with a high enough opinion with you. It seems to encourage them to let you take over them peacefully. Once you do that, you will have the ability to do restoration of Austria-Hungary. If they fail to accept the referendum, you simply declare war. No one will have guaranteed them if you do it fast enough. And they have, I think, 8 troops. You have 16. You have better troops. You've been planning. You have better general. You'll just simply overrun the country. Usually you have to take up to Salzburg here, I found, upon which they'll surrender. You'll take over. Doing it peacefully is actually better for you. The problem with Austria-Hungary in general is that you suffer from very, very low manpower, which is rather pathetic for such a huge, historic, powerful empire, but you do. You don't actually have to train any new troops until you get Austria-Hungary, which is kind of awesome. Once you do all of that, you'll have the option of, at some point, doing protect Czechoslovakia, and you'll offer a guarantee. Now, this is a very odd event because Czechoslovakia is really powerful. They will have about 50 regiments. They'll also have a huge line of forts, more factories. They're going to be about twice to 3 times as strong as you. But the irony is, through this focus, you've got a chance of either annexing them completely, which is the best outcome, or puppeting them, which is also a pretty good outcome. But either way, you'll get control of all their lands and all their troops. If you don't get it peacefully, either the puppet or the complete annexation of them, restart, because there's no way you're going to conquer Czechoslovakia. Now, it's important to do this as fast as possible because from my experiments, usually you're just able to protect Czechoslovakia about 1 focus tree before the Germans will demand Sudetenland or demand Austria's lands. And the key point is you have to do it fast enough, because if Germany demands Austria, there is a very good chance that if you refuse them, they'll invade you. And in order to avoid that, you want to get past protect Czechoslovakia. You want to get to claim Transylvania. Now, this is key to this whole strategy, and I don't know really why it works, but it does. Once you claim Transylvania, once you claim Transylvania, you'll get claims on these provinces here, pretty much. And there'll be an event where you demand them from Romania. Now, Romania will refuse. And this is where it gets confusing. You can still insist, and you'll usually get, the ability to declare war on them. You don't want to declare war. You want to wait for another event which will pop up, which is you'll seek mediation. Essentially, you'll ask for a third power to kind of justify your demands. And now it's key from what I found, and it's pretty key to the strategy overall, is to get Germany to be the mediator, because Germany likes you, especially if you've improved relations with them at any point, which you should have. I forgot to mention that, but it's a good idea to keep Hitler happy in Europe usually. You will demand mediation. When you get a chance to demand land, you want to demand all of Transylvania. This is key because your Romania 99% of the time will refuse. And usually what will happen is you can then declare war on Romania. And this gets a little weird. Because you've asked for German mediation, the Germans will essentially assist you in taking the land because Romania refused it peacefully. And thus, since you're at war with another power, with Germany, they will 99% of the time allow you to join their faction, which is hilarious. Even though you'll have a different ideology, you'll still be able to join the Axis. So you've got Czechoslovakia and stuff, and you have Germany on your side. You should be able to overrun Romania rather quickly, and thus you can have Austria-Hungary be this large, upon which point you then have the ability to do stuff like claim Galicia, which is kind of cool, which means you can go after, Poland. Of course, at some point, Poland and all the other countries will be guaranteed by Great Britain, which you have to watch out for, because once you do that, you're kicking off World War II powder keg that will just grow and grow and grow. So if you can do it before it's guaranteed or protected by Great Britain or France, you're in great shape. Another one to consider is if you've got 250,000 K in manpower, you have to have 200 for claiming Transylvania. You should get a fair amount from Austria, and if you annex Czechoslovakia, you should be really close to the limit. March to the shore will give you claims on Yugoslavia. If you can do that, attacking them and overrunning them with German help, usually Italy will be in the Axis then, is relatively easy. This is where you start to run into some issues, because in order to reclaim the empire, and do really well at getting it all, I forget what the actual criteria of what provinces you have to own. You would have to take land from Italy. Sometimes, if you're lucky and you do it quick enough, you'll have the ability to demand this land from Italy, and they won't be in a faction with Germany, and then you'll get a claim. You can attack them. It's quite interesting. There are some times you can get Germany to attack Italy for you to get the claims. Really, once you join the Axis, this whole area is your sandbox until World War II starts. And then, of course, you can claim Buscovina and stuff. I don't actually know where Buscovina is offhand. Pretty sure it's in one of these provinces. But then you can take over this area, and then if you build a battleship, you can also get the achievement Miklos Horthy, and the Habsburg Prince is the one you're going to get for doing Austria-Hungary, but you can also do better than Sint Istvan. Have Miklos Horthy as a naval commander and build a battleship. Obviously, take over Yugoslavia. You can have some naval dockyards that you can build stuff in. At that point, you have to survive, the general World War II problem, but you'll be in control of a very large amounts of territory, and you'll have claims on it, so the odds you'll get it at a peace deal if you win the war are very good. The key is not to lose all your manpower fighting. Even when you control this land, you're not going to have millions and millions and millions of troops like Germany, France, and the Soviets will have. In terms of when the Soviets invade, your best bet is, if you've conquered Romania, is to build some forts along this river here, all the way over to the mountains, and then of course there's the Czech forts. You can complete a line of forts here and fortify that. You can usually survive a Soviet invasion, assuming they beat the Germans, which in all my plays, the Germany always kills the Soviets, which is annoying, but you can usually pick up some land here, which is kind of nice. That's pretty much it is Hungary. The key point is really taking over Austria before the Germans do, taking over Czechoslovakia before the Germans do, and then getting German mediation for Romania. And it's a rather weird combination of events. I'm surprised they haven't patched it all out yet. They might, but it will allow you to take over Romania with German help. Obviously, if you just have the Czech help, you can usually take over Romania just with their aid as well. So that is a guide to how to take the Kingdom of Hungary and restore the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and how to join a faction with the German despite not being fascist. So thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it helps you. It's a very difficult achievement to do well, and obviously you have to win World War II in order to fully enjoy the benefits of it, which is easier said than done. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe. or at least like the video or comment if you've got an easier, quicker, or cleverer way to do it, or you enjoy it, or you have questions. If you do subscribe, there's a lovely little notification button. Be sure to click that so you can see other guide videos. Also, if you have any countries in Hearts of Iron or that you want me to do as well, please leave those below and I will try and do a guide of those. Also, check out my Europa Universalist 4 videos I have done and any Let's Plays I may be doing at the time. Bye for now.